You're listening to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast, your podcast for escaping life's monotony, indulging in your wildest travel fantasies, and discovering the constant beauty of this ever-changing world.
On today's episode, Jake from Journey with Jake podcast joins us to give us some examples of how travel can really be a sensory experience.
Welcome to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. We are your navigators, Allison
and Regan. And today is another Travel Tuesday. So happy Travel Tuesday to all of our listeners. We've got another special guest here today. We're really excited to introduce you to him. We did a recording for his podcast and he's coming on ours. So can't wait to get for you to get to know him and his podcast. But as always, before we get started, we're going to give another plug. I know you're probably tired of all of this, but we're going to do it anyways, because if you're not following us or haven't been to our website yet, we want to make sure you have the opportunity to do so. So be sure to visit our website, www.wanderlustingwives.com. And on there, you can find easy links to all of our episodes, more information about us, everything is right there for you in easy glance. Allie, anything on your end?
Same old, always plugging our social media. So Instagram is at Wanderlusting Wives, Facebook, Wanderlusting Wives Podcast, and then Twitter at Wanderlust Wives. And then if you want to email us, that's wanderlustingwives@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. That's how we got connected with Jake. He emailed us. So look at us here now. We're swapping podcasts here. Also, feel free to give him a follow. We'll give him a chance to share his social media, but social media is a great place for us to connect with all of you, connect with other podcasters that you might enjoy listening to. So make sure you're following us on social media. We'd love to have you over there. So without further ado, we have Jake on here from Journey with Jake. Welcome, Jake. We're so happy to have you.
Yeah, this is fun. This is exciting. It was fun to talk to both of you just a little bit ago on my podcast. Now I'm on yours, which is fun, exciting. So I'm looking forward to this. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We were chatting a little bit earlier and just saying that in the podcast community, like it's really fun. We can talk to like our friends or our husbands or whoever else like about the podcast and get really passionate about it. But it's always so exciting when the podcast minds meet and you're like, oh, you get it. Like we all are going through this together and doing the thing and swapping stories and tips and everything. So it's really exciting, especially to have you here today. So I just want to give you an opportunity to tell our guests about you and about your podcast. So take it away.
Sure. Thank you very much. So yeah, Journey with Jake's only been around for a year and a half or so. I started January of 2022. Just a little background on who I am. I've kind of always grown up in the Southwest United States for the most part. I did live in the Midwest in Ohio and Iowa for a little bit as a little kid, but lived in Arizona most of my life. I now live in Utah. I've been in Utah about 2 years now. I love it out here in the West. I love seeing mountains and, you know, everything that comes with that. Just being able to explore close to home, which is for me a big thing with travel. Journey with Jake started mostly because the pandemic happened and I got furloughed from my job. I was in the trade show industry and all of a sudden there's no trade shows anymore. It just completely stopped. I really didn't even know what podcasts were, but I started listening to some because I had some time all of a sudden on my hands. So I started listening to some podcasts and thought they were fun and had a conversation with my brother, my younger brother, just kind of talking to him and trying to release some stress. I was a little bit stressed out during those times and thought, well, maybe I should do a podcast. And it's going to be about travel. It's kind of evolved into more of an adventure podcast now, but travel is a huge adventure thing in my mind. So that's kind of where the travel part comes into play a little bit. But that's kind of how it started. And I thought, well, maybe this is something I could do. I know both of you mentioned, you know, is there something you could do where it's not too expensive and doesn't cost a lot of money. And this was one way to do it. And it allows me to kind of get my thoughts and feelings out, but mostly to hear other people's adventures and stories. And that's what it's all about. I'm 60 episodes in now, which is fantastic. And it's just fun to hear different people's adventures and what they're going through and just who they are and getting to know people. I've gotten to know the both of you a little bit now, and it's awesome. I love meeting people and getting to know people. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've loved connecting with you. And where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, the best way is on Instagram at Journey with Jake Podcast. I am on Facebook as well. I'm just not as, I guess, not as busy there. I do post stuff every day on Instagram though. So at Journey with Jake Podcast is the best way. I also have a website, journeywithjake.net. You can reach me there as well. All my episodes are on there as well, or any major podcast platform where you're listening now. You can find me as well. So that's the best way. Journey with Jake Podcast on Instagram for sure.
Yeah, I love that you say that it's kind of evolved into an adventure podcast and that like, yeah, that's such a broad topic, like that can encapsulate so many different things and that's exactly what you're doing. I think your most recent episode too was something to do with acrobatics and all of that. It's like, oh my goodness, you have everything from like Sicily and traveling and running, couples running together and acrobatics. I think that's awesome because you can find adventure anywhere. And we kind of say this is a similar thing about travel, but that's just really exciting that you're finding all of those cool topics for whatever adventure means to individuals. Yeah.
That's exactly it. It means something different to everybody. I look at someone who does acrobatics, someone who's in acro, which is my most recent episode, and that's adventurous to them. It's adventurous to me as someone looking on the outside in. I talked to quite a few ultra runners, people who are running 100-mile races, and I'm like, that's crazy, but it's adventurous and the things they're going through. And so I just love hearing all these different stories. People who've traveled. I have someone who's motorcycled across China from one end of the country to the other. There's just so many crazy things that people do. A paramotoring person I had on just recently. I mean, you could go on and on. There's adventure everywhere you look. And there's adventures close to home too, which I like. There's adventures in our own backyards, I think, and we can find it if we just look for it.
Yes, that is like our life motto here on Travel Tuesday. There's always an adventure, even if it's in your backyard. That's sometimes some of the best things to do is just go to your backyard, your own community, and be a tourist. It's so fun to just explore your area. And I know that you say you had like a lot of runners on your podcast. And would you call yourself a runner now? Or you just done your first half marathon? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's funny because I've always been a runner like in the mornings. That's kind of like my morning cup of coffee was to go for a little jog. My problem is I love sweets too, so I love chocolate chip cookies. So it's not. I don't think I'm not helping myself in any respect because of the way I tend to eat chocolate chip cookies. But I love running because it just kind of wakes me up. But I've never ran more than like 3 miles, 3.5 miles. And talking to these ultra runners, I kind of got inspired. I'm like, maybe I could do this. I talked to a guy named Mario Minert, who is a fitness coach, an endurance coach, and he did this like triathlon thing over 3 days. And it's just incredible hearing these stories. And so I thought, you know what? Let's set the goal. Let's run a half marathon. Let's do it. So I set the goal, set up a training plan to do. And really, the actual half marathon just happened less than a week ago. I'm so glad I did it. I had some issues. I definitely had some stomach issues to start off the race. And so there was definitely some challenges. But I did it. I came across that finish line. And really, I look back at the whole process of it from when I first started and made that commitment, the excitement that was. I was so energized when I just paid my entrance fee. And I was like, I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this. And the energy I had from that. And then just over the weeks, I saw the progression and it was just exciting and fun. And I have a lot of these guests and people I've spoken to thank for that, because I think that's what really, I would have never probably done it if I hadn't done this podcast, honestly. And now, will I go any further? Will I do a marathon? I haven't gone that far yet, but I would like to do another half. I definitely, now that I've had a few days to kind of digest what I did, I loved the whole process of it. I definitely want to do it again. So yeah, thank you for asking that, because that was a lot of fun over the last few months, just the whole process.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is like such dedication. I feel like running, it's not for me, but for other people, it truly, I do feel like it's one of the most impressive things because it's just you and your body. Like you are making that commitment to yourself. There is not an external force or an external like product or anything. It's you. And so I'm just really impressed by that. Congratulations. That's like, that sounds so gratifying.
I love it. I love the fact that I was able to do that. It is gratifying for sure. And it's been an adventure for me. It's been a lot of fun. And it's crazy too, how one day you'll have a run where it's just terrible. You just feel horrible, but then you'll have a run, a couple days later where you feel really good. there's just so many ups and downs, and it's kind of the way life is, really. I mean, we all have our ups and downs, and so it's a lot of parallels to how we live and what's going on in life.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can kind of draw some parallels on our episode that we just recorded with you, how travel can have its kind of ups and downs also. There's some hiccups and there's some really awesome things that you learn. And so I want to transition now into some of those travel stories that you might have. And those can be large scale, they can be small scale. Anything you've got from us, we and our listeners would love to hear it.
So I'm kind of jump on. I know, Regan, you're big into Disney. So I have so many memories going to Disney as a kid when I was middle school, high school. And so being from Arizona, California is where we went. So we went to the original Disneyland, I guess, if you want to call it that. We went to California, Anaheim a lot. And so that's where I first have a lot of memories of traveling. We used to go to Colorado in the summers as well. So I have memories. That's why I love the mountains as well. But going to Disneyland, I think the things that I loved about it, yeah, the park is great. The park is wonderful, but it's those outside things. You know, being at your hotel, maybe we go for a walk to downtown Disney and you smell the smells and you hear the sounds and you visit the shops. The anticipation, I think, is what I like more than anything about going anywhere, is the anticipation of what you're going to see, what you're going to hear, what you're going to smell, what you're going to see. I love that. I love the anticipation of it. So for me, like the night before actually going into the park was almost, it can't be quite better, but it's part of what makes the experience so great. So I love that. Those are the memories I have of going to Disneyland every year, every other year, whatever it was those going to different shops the day before and just getting that excitement built up for the actual big gift, the big prize, I guess, which is why I think on my podcast is journey. It's the journey, not necessarily the destination, but it's the journey. That's what I like.
Mm.
Same with Colorado, just traveling there as a kid, we'd come around this corner and you'd look ahead and you would see my grandparents' cabin, which is where we used to go every summer in the high mountains of Colorado, Fairplay, Colorado, kind of near Breckenridge in South Park County there. And I love that when you come around that corner and you see that cabin. That was like, we did it. We made it. We call it the cabin. It was the cabin to us, even though it was just a cabin of hundreds of thousands of cabins in Colorado, but that's what it was. So I think those little trips mean the most to me. I love those moments where I can just sit back and see those things. As I go to an adult now, I mean, those were kid moments where I kind of, remember those things. Just a week or so ago, we went to Yellowstone National Park, and a couple of the mornings, I woke up early. We were staying in a little town called Cook City, Montana, which is just this little podunk town kind of by the northeast entrance of Yellowstone National Park. And I got out and walked around in the morning. It was quiet. It was kind of chill in the air. It was a little bit cold. It was June, but it was still cold. And I just love that. I just love being able to sit and look where I'm at and see where I'm at and just have a quiet moment of peace. I think that's what I love about traveling. I love that part of it.
Yeah. I love that it's such a sensory experience for you. Like, I feel like that's not something we've really talked too much about. It's definitely something that I think we all subconsciously at least think of and identify, especially as a kid, how you're going to have those smells that you're just always going to remember of walking into grandma's house or whatever that is. But this is just really an awesome perspective that you're bringing to us about like that really being a deep sensory experience. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I love those moments. The last morning we stayed in Cook City, Montana, but then we went to West Yellowstone, Montana. And the last morning it was like really cold. Like it was in the 20s. But the sun was just coming up over the hill, and I kind of walked. We were staying in a place called Hibernation Station. It's like these little cabins, kind of a lot of fun. I kind of walked into some trees kind of behind the area early in the morning. Everyone was still asleep. My wife likes to sleep in. My kids like to sleep in a little bit, but I was up. I'm a kind of a morning person anyway. So I got up and walked around. I was just, had that moment to just be thankful for what I had, thankful that I was there, thankful for the things I'd seen. That was the morning we were heading out, leaving, but just remembering, we had such great adventures just in those few days. We saw some bears with some cubs, and I saw my first ever moose in the wild, which was fantastic. I love those moments that we have, and just to be able to reflect on it. Had this little trip to Yellowstone and just the memories, the thoughts, the feelings, and the people I was with. I was with brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and then my wife and two of my kids, and just love it. I mean, part of it's who you're spending time with, and then it's just, it is those sensory things, the smells, the feelings, the cool crisp air, just things like that are just, that's what I love about travel.
Yeah, I love that you have this theme of like slowing down and appreciating where you are. I think it's so easy to get caught up in travel and the hustle and bustle of certain places, but just taking that time in the morning too, when there's not a lot of people out, to just look around and be like, wow, this earth is amazing. This is a really great opportunity that I have to be in this place. I think a lot of people probably just get caught up in like, let me take the coolest picture for social media, and aren't, grateful for this time that they have in this certain place. And just to live to see another day is just amazing in and of itself. But then to be in a really special location is just the icing on the cake.
Definitely. And I have to catch myself sometimes because I'm a planner by nature. I like to kind of check off the list. I like to know where I'm going. I want to know where I'm staying. I want to kind of know. I'm not very good at the surprise things that happen. I've gotten better. And honestly, again, I think the podcast has helped with that, because when I hear people talk about, sometimes it's just the spontaneous things that happen to you, and learn to roll with it. I think I've gotten a lot better at that. I know you both told a great story about a camper situation that you had in Iceland, how you just have to, you just kind of have to roll with it and learn from it. And so I've done a lot better at that. And so sometimes I have to catch myself and be like, hey, you're on vacation, just relax, enjoy it. Just enjoy the scenes, the sights. Who cares if you're going to be a little bit later than you thought? Maybe you're going to eat a little bit later. I need to learn to deal with that. So I've gotten better at that. I still need to do better at that. But I do love those moments where I can just sit back and be like, hey, this is it. I'm enjoying this. Just relax. Take it easy. This is fun. I mean, I'm doing what I love to do, and that's seeing things, being with people I love, and having that moment where you can just, don't have to think about work, don't have to think about those things that constantly are there. They'll be there when we get back. Let's enjoy what we've got. Let's take it as it goes.
Yeah. I'm very glad to know that I am not alone in that whole getting caught up in the planning part of things.
Yeah.
Trying to coordinate my family of 13 in Disney, I had some stressful moments there, but I was just like, gotta let the plan go.
And now a quick word from our sponsor. Newsly is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks up the most trending articles on the web on topics you choose at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. The entire web becomes listenable for the first time, all in one place. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling and start listening. You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, tech, business, science, Bitcoin, or even the Kardashians. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud. And the best part, they have podcasts. Explore trending podcasts from over 80 countries. You can even find us there. I started using it as my default podcast app. They even have a digital radio. Download and use Newsly for free now at www.newsly.me or from the link in the description, and use promo code WIVES. That's WIVES. And you can get a 1-month free premium subscription. You can find all this information in our description from this episode. And now back to our episode.
Yeah, so I think this is another really interesting thing, and it'd be an interesting question for, I think, all of us too. I don't know if it's what we talked about before, but like the people you're with, and of course, like you think about family. Most people probably would think about family, but if you had to pick one person, friend, family, stranger, I don't know, someone you met on the bus, who would you choose to go traveling with, and where would you go?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, obviously, anywhere I go, I really, truly, I do want to go with my wife, because she and I are, we've been married for over 24 years. I can't see myself going anywhere without her, I guess. Where I would like to go with her is to Bora Bora. I want to
Ooh.
stay on one of those, over the water bungalow things, like,
Yes.
I've been looking at that for years. I don't know how I'll ever make it there, but that's what I want to do. I mean, I think, and going with her would just be awesome. Just be able to have that time with her. mean, I love the kids and everything, but the kids can stay home. It could just be me and the wife. We can just have the two of us.
Yes.
Nothing to wake up to. Nothing, just to be there and walk outside. Hey, here's the water. We're in Bora Bora. I think that would be the best.
That sounds beautiful. I hope you get there. Like, I really,
Thank
my
you.
heart right now is just like, we need to make this happen. How do we make this happen for you? Allie, what would you say to that question? I don't think we've ever talked about this before.
Yeah, we haven't, and I'm like getting a little sweaty. The planner in me now is coming out because I'm like, we didn't plan for this, but that's okay. My first go-to, of course, would be my husband. I really want to go to Bali, but then I got thinking too, my grandparents would be really great because they are afraid of flying, or a lot of my grandparents are actually still alive. So either they're afraid of flying, they don't have the financial ability to travel. So I think it'd be really cool to get to take them on vacation somewhere while they're still healthy and still alive, and I don't have kids to worry about that I need to find childcare for. So I think it'd be really nice. I don't know where it would be yet, but maybe a cruise, and just take like all of my grandparents because they all get along, they all know each other. So it'd be really amazing to just get to spend that time with them, and kind of, they've made so many good memories for me growing up, so it'd be nice to create some good memories for them while they're still healthy.
I like that.
Oh, that's so sweet. I want that to happen too. Man, if I had all the money in the world, I'd be granting so many wishes right now. I think for me, I would say my husband and going to Italy, because there's nothing we love more than sitting down with a nice bowl of pasta and a glass of wine. So I think that sounds amazing.
It's those simple things in life, right? And just that would be fantastic. And you mentioned a cruise, Allie. I love cruising. I've been on I've been on 4 or 5 cruises. I love that because it's like you're on vacation. Just don't worry about anything. We'll take care of everything. Got your food, your entertainment, everything's covered, and you can just relax and enjoy. Do whatever you want. If you want to get up early and go for a run, you can. If you don't have to. You can sleep in till whenever. I love
Mhm.
cruising. So cruising's a great way to see the world, I think.
We
Yeah.
agree. We have a two-part series all about
Yep.
cruising, so we are avid cruisers over here as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Where have you cruised to?
I did a cruise in the Hawaiian Islands that just kind of went around the Hawaiian
Ooh.
Islands. That was a lot of fun. Hawaii's fantastic. I love that. And then I've been to the Eastern and Western Caribbean. The Eastern Caribbean a few different times, the Western Caribbean once. I want to do the Mediterranean. I've never been to Europe, so I want to do that. I think that would be a lot of fun just to see different parts of Europe and the Mediterranean. And I'd love to do an Alaskan cruise as well. My mind, I struggle with, I think of cruises, I think of shorts and sandals and sun and pina coladas, that kind of thing. In Alaska, I think, oh, I got to put a coat on. I don't know, but I think I could get
Yeah.
on board pretty easy.
Yeah, I think I feel similarly. It sounds amazing, and also I'm like, yeah, but the beach.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I
What
feel that.
cruise line have you gone with? Because we're like Carnival cruises over here, but we're trying to branch out a little bit. So have you done anything other than Carnival?
Yeah, and that's funny because I've only done one cruise line. It's been Norwegian is who I've cruised with.
Okay.
Okay.
I've heard good things about like Royal. I've heard good things about Carnival. I'm willing to go. I've just always gone Norwegian. I don't know if it's itineraries or what. I've just kind of always done it. I like it. I've enjoyed it. So I would support Norwegian for sure.
Yeah, that's good to know because, like I said,
Yeah.
we have done plenty of Carnival, and we're kind of the point where Carnival's good, but we're ready to branch out and try something else. So we got your stamp of approval for Norwegian. So
Yeah. Try
I'm packing
Norwegian
my
good to
out.
know.
bags.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's do it.
Won't say no to a cruise.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, so I know, Jake, that you have listened to our podcast a bit and that you specifically expressed some interest in our Wildcard Wednesday episodes. And so we wanted to kind of, and I hope this is okay with our listeners, and if it's not, fine, turn the podcast off at this point. But I hope you'll continue listening with us. One of the things that we love to do on our Wildcard Wednesday episodes is we love to take our first segment and spin a wheel that will randomly determine what topic we're going to end up talking about. And so, Jake, I was wondering if we could do this with you for this episode.
Yes, let's spin the wheel. I don't know what we'll get out of this, but hey, let's try it out. I'm happy to see where it
We're gonna
goes.
see how it goes. Ooh, this is actually a really great one for today. Workout routines. And we kind of
Workout
touched on this a
routine.
little bit because, yeah, you just did your first half marathon. So I feel like this is actually a really perfect one to do with you. Would you mind telling us about what your process was for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I decided to do the half marathon, I would run in the mornings anywhere from 3.2, 3.3 was probably the most I would run. A lot of times it was less than that. I found the Nike running app, and this is before the half marathon. I found the Nike running app. I like that because if I was running by myself, then I'd have someone kind of talking to me and being like, "Great job," kind of just giving me that motivation that I needed a little bit. And it had some different runs. It had some like intervals and some speed runs. So I kind of would change it up a little bit. So that was before the half marathon. So then when I decided to do the half marathon, there was a half marathon training plan in that same app. So I said, all right, perfect. It's a 14-week training plan. Let's go with that. And it was like 5 runs a week plus 2 days of rest. And I kind of would split it up a little bit differently. So usually the first day of the week was just really a short 15 to 20-minute run. It could be more if you wanted it to be. I would do that. The next day was like some sort of speed run or interval run. And then the next day after that would be like a recovery run and then another speed run. And then the last one would be the long run for the week. And I used to run Monday through Friday and then I would take the weekends off. I split that up a little bit, which is probably good because I was getting tired getting up so early in the morning. I had to do everything in the morning. That's just when I had the time and I would start work early. So I did my long runs. I switched it to Saturday, which was a good thing because I could sleep in a little bit, but still get up early enough to go run. And then I could see things because usually I'm running in the dark. It's completely dark.
Oh, yeah.
So it was nice to go run along trails and things in the daylight where I can actually see the beauty around me. And I found a trail called the Spanish Fork River Trail, which is about 5 miles long, but I started running that. And one time I ran back and forth. I did almost 10 miles on it, like going one way and then coming back the other way. And it ran along this river and this beautiful trees and the mountain. It was awesome.
And working out looks different for everyone. So, Allie, I'm interested actually to hear yours too, because I feel like we sometimes get lost in this kind of spiral of like, oh, my routine doesn't look like that, or like, I don't look like that. So, what am I doing wrong, et cetera, et cetera. But like you're talking about, is kind of what makes your mind feel good too, not just your body, it's your mind too. So, Allie, what do you do?
Mine kind of fluctuates throughout the year since I am on summer break right now. I have endless amount of time to do things. So as you know, if you've listened to this podcast before, I have 2 dogs. So one is very, very high energy, like insane. So I take her on a 3-mile walk by herself. This is like my summer routine. Take her on a 3-mile walk by myself, bring her back, take my other dog for a 2-mile walk because at this point I'm exhausted and my other dog doesn't need that many miles. So I've been averaging about 5 miles a day, just walking my dogs in the morning before I eat breakfast. I'll go out, see my usual neighbors. We all just like wave to each other, like here we are again. So that's nice. But yeah, just been doing a lot of walking, and then the area that I live in is pretty hilly, so my calves have been hurting me a lot. So I've started to incorporate more yoga, even if it's like 10 minutes after my walk. I like to do some yoga, occasionally do some meditation. I get very anxious, and I find meditation is very, very good for me. So I don't usually do more than like 10 minutes. But it's really, really good practice to get into if you haven't done meditation before. It's amazing because, like we were saying before, the mind plays such a huge role in our bodies and our life. So it's nice to just focus on your breath or take some time to be grateful in your mindfulness practice. But I'm not consistent with it all the time, especially in the school year because I get so exhausted. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is wake up and work out. And then this summer is kind of when I get back on track. So a lot of walking, some mindfulness, and then some yoga after my walks.
I think that's a key part of a workout though, is like having grace, like giving yourself grace too. of like, okay, I don't need this today, or I need more today. Just getting that ability to listen to yourself. Yeah, I need more yoga in my life. I also love that we're including mindfulness in our workout routines, or
I
like
know.
as related to it. That's awesome.
I love
Mhm.
what you said about grace too, because there was a few times where, I'm following this routine, and in my mind, I'm thinking I got to follow this routine in order to be able to do this half marathon. Well, there's a few times I missed it a couple times, or one time I went out, I just didn't have it in me to complete it. I may have started it, but I remember walking back, like I just couldn't do it for whatever reason. And I was just like, you know what? It's okay. Let's get up tomorrow. We'll do the next one and just move on. And I
Yeah.
felt good that I did, I just moved on and gave myself that grace. Like, hey, it's all right. Move
Yeah.
forward. Let's go.
You're human. Being human is
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's good that you're doing it when you are. So that, yeah, that's awesome.
What is it you do? Yeah. What's your routine?
Oh gosh, yeah, I forgot that I have to talk. I'm just having fun like asking questions. I have a Peloton, so I get on that when I can. And I usually incorporate with that like my fixed, not fixed, but like my favorite formula is like 20 minutes on the Peloton, usually to some Taylor Swift music or Disney music or Jonas Brothers, something very, basic. But then 10 minutes of like strength and punches or something like that. And then foam rolling, I've really come to love because it's just like, yeah, your body needs a little bit of a little bit of extra love when you're working on a computer 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So yeah, I love that it's different for all of us too. That like whatever feels good, we're just committing to and going with it. Well, good talk. I know this wasn't Travel
Yeah.
Tuesday towards the end here, but this was really fun. I love having these conversations, a little bit of a mashup here. But Jake, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. We have loved getting to know you, and it's just been such a great conversation. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for letting me participate in Wildcard Wednesday, even though it's Travel Tuesday. Because again, I love that part of your show. I love both parts, but I love that part too. So I feel awesome that I got to participate in both. So thank you both very much.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. And make sure you listen to Jake's podcast. You'll find us there and also tons of other great guests. And give him a follow on social media. He's a great person to follow. So thanks again, Jake. And to our listeners, make sure you check him out. Thanks for tuning in to the Wanderlusting Lives podcast. Come escape with us again every other Tuesday for Travel Tuesdays and every other Wednesday for Wildcard Wednesdays.
Don't forget to give us a subscribe and a follow on all of our social media and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until next time, wander on.